All right. Welcome back to the FSL show. This is Darius Barnes coming at you once again. And we're going to try a little bit of something different today. I know we normally focus on the sports aspect of things, but I'm going to try to switch that up a little bit. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's been going on in the world or what's going on in the world right now with some conversations that I was having with family earlier. Um, we'll also talk about some family stuff. We got some family situations going on that I would love to just talk about. Just get out there, and I'm going to ask if we comment a little bit. Those of you that do watch this, I'm going to ask that you put some comments out there, so we can kind of have something to to bounce different perspectives off. We'll still talk a little bit of sports. We'll start off talking a little bit about the things that's going on with sports. We got free agency going on with the NFL, and of course the basketball season is going on. March Madness getting ready to start. So we still talk a little bit of sports, um, but we're in with something fun. I'm gonna try not to have this be too heavy, but because we are going to talk about some stuff that's going on in the world, that stuff that's going on with lives that's going to affect all of us election year, things of that nature. I'll try to end with something fun for you all to put in those comments. So please if you haven't subscribed yet, those of you that do watch this, please subscribe. I'll try to make sure the comments are turned on. So we can go ahead and we can put some comments out there. We can talk about it, in the next show. So let's go ahead. Let's get started. And let's go ahead and let's just get the sports stuff out of the way. I'm going to start with something that I like. We had an MMA fight. UFC 299 was this past weekend. Great card. It was in Miami. Wanted to go to that card. No, unfortunately, because some things that are going on, wasn't able to make it. But I did get a chance to watch it. Phenomenal, phenomenal card. From the prelims, to the main card. Not gonna talk about every single fight, but I will start with the prelim fight with Jonathan Almeida and Curtis Blades. This was a fight that people really wanted to see. Almeida, of course, was on this huge winning streak in the heavyweight division. He goes up from light heavyweight from 205 to the heavyweight division. He's on this huge winning streak. I think he's won like 15, 16 in a row, something like that. And he's going up against Curtis Blades, who's a decorated wrestler, but at the same time has really big power in his hands. Now, we all know no Curtis Blades wants to wrestle, but if he can touch you, you have the there's a possibility that you will go to sleep. So this fight was scheduled for sometime last year, end of last year, but there was an injury where it had to be rescheduled, so they were able to do it. And I will be honest, for the first round, it went pretty much the way I thought it would go. Almeida was able to use his grappling, take Curtis Blades down. Nothing exciting, but you could tell that Almeida was the more decorated grappler. You could tell just right off the jump. You could tell, okay, he's the more decorated grappler. So even if he doesn't have no offense with that, if there's not a lot of offense with his grappling, you saw that he was able to take him down and he was able to control him while he was down. No, that's the one thing that we did see. Boring first round for the most part, but there were some things that you was just able to just recognize right there at the jump. Second round starts. Almeida goes for a takedown. He gets caught, in Curtis Blades' sprawl. Those of you that know wrestling, you know what that sprawl is. He gets caught in the sprawl. And then Curtis Blades just Donkey Kong punches him to sleep. Just boom, 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 out. No, fight's over. Just like that. And I'm like, oh, wow. 16 winning streak over. They talked about Almeida being able to fight for the championship. After he got through this fight, and boom, just like that, a couple of Donkey Kong punches from a massive dude. Out cold, fight's over, back to square one. No, and that was a prelim fight. That was the prelim fight. Then we get to the main card. And like I said, not gonna go through all these cards. You had Peter Yan going up against Sung Yadong. Of course, Jan wins that fight. He gets back in the win column after losing 3, 4 straight. I think he lost 4 straight. He lost the Aljamain, one by disqualification. Then he lost to Sean O'Malley. He lost to Marab. Yeah, he had lost 4 straight. So he loses 4 straight, and he gets back in the winning column. So it'd be interesting to see what happens to him. No, then you had Gilbert Burns and Della Maddalena, which is a really tough name to say. He's from Australia. So you had Jack D. I call him Jack D. No, that fight was really good, and it looked like Gilbert Burns was going to win that fight. It was 1-1 going to third round. Third round starts. Gilbert, is controlling the round. He looks like he's on his way to victory, and Jack D is able to get up, from underneath Gilbert Burns, who's a very decorated grappler as well, and lands a beautiful knee and puts Gilbert Burns out. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Gilbert Burns next. Here's a guy that's fought for the championship. Here's a guy that's fought, Hamza Chimaev. He's fought, Tyron Woodley. I mean, he's fought pretty much everywhere in that light heavyweight division. A lot of times when you see individuals, when they've run their course in a particular weight class, they either go up and they go down. And that's interesting because Gilbert Burns came from 155 and he, went up to 170, because he kind of had ran his course at 155. So it's going to be interesting to see what Gilbert Burns do. And then we got to MVP Venom Page going against Kevin Holland. I thought the fight was okay. It was not as exciting as I thought it was going to be. You had two guys that that do consider themselves to be decorated striker. I like Kevin Holland. I like him as a fighter. I also like him as an entertainer. He's a really huge talker. Honestly speaking, I know MVP is a very huge talker as well. But I didn't watch a lot of Bellator. I'll be honest. Not that the Bellator fights weren't as good. I just didn't watch a lot of them because I never know when they come on. But now that MVP is in the UFC, I will probably pay attention a little bit more to him. But MVP was able to win that fight by unanimous decision. Um, and it was a display of striking. You saw that MVP striking is a lot different from anything that we've seen in the UFC. At least that I've seen. Of course, the closest thing to him is Stephen Wonderboy, Thompson. He kind of has that karate stance where he's hopping and he's jumping in, jumping out, jumping in, jumping out. MVP kind of does the same thing. He's not as, in my opinion, as explosive as Wonder Boy, especially when Wonder Boy was in his prime. I was seeing Wonder Boy just putting people out. When he would jump in with these kicks and things like that. But I do think MVP is really good. He's 36 years old. I don't know how much noise he's gonna make in the UFC as far as the championship run goes. But you had that fight, where MVP takes the unanimous decision, and then you got to the fight that I really wanted to see, which was Dustin Poirier against Saint Denis. Of course, those of you that have heard me talk about UFC that know a little bit about it, or have heard me have conversations about it. Dustin Poirier is somebody that I really dude can fight. Like I said, that dude's my favorite fighter. But you had that fight that was the co-main event, and the first round comes, and it's a grappling match, and you see what Saint Denis wants to do. He wants to get Dustin down. He wants to tire him out. Dustin didn't help because he kept jumping guillotine, and what that is that when Saint Denis would run in for the takedown, his head is down, and what Dustin would do is try to wrap his arms around, get under his chin, and choke him out. But to do that, you have to grab the choke, and you have to kind of jump up and wrap your legs around him and try to bring him to the ground so you could choke him out. He kept doing that. He kept jumping guillotines, to try to choke him out. And I'm sure he kept doing it because, Saint Denis kept putting his head in there. So he said, all right, he's going to keep putting his head in there. So we're going to keep jumping guillotines. What made that funny and why I'm bringing that up is that everyone kept telling him to stop jumping guillotines. And he kept saying, no, I'm not going to jump guillotines. I'm going to continue to jump guillotines, if it presents itself. At first, I was like, he should listen to his corner. But then after listening to guys like Daniel Cormier and Dominic Cruz and these guys that do this and have done this for a living, listening to them talk, and they were saying, hey, if the neck is there and you can jump guillotine, do it because it gives that individual something else they have to think about. No, it gives them that. So you had that going on in the first round. I think he jumped maybe 2 or 3 guillotines in the first round. But the flip side of that, or the bad side of that, is that if you don't get the choke, you land up on your back, and now you have this heavy guy on top of you. And he's dropping punches and he's doing what he can. He's trying to do submissions, this, that, whatever. Dustin does have a jujitsu background. He is a really skilled grappler, but the fights that he's lost, a lot of them have been due to no submission. No, you look at Charles Oliveira, you look at Khabib Nurmagomedov, you look at those guys, and those fights ended because of submission. So, no, you kind of don't want to see Dustin giving up his back, things like that, especially for a guy like me who respects Dustin, and like I say, he's my favorite fighter. I don't want to see him lose. So you had that in the first round. And then he comes out in the second round and he lets his hands go and just just explodes dynamite on this dude's face and just knocks him completely cold. It was phenomenal. Loved it. Wish I was there for it. Because he trains in that Florida area, the Coconut Creek area. The arena exploded. I mean, it was phenomenal. Wish I was there. So Dustin Poirier was able to get the win in that co-main event. And then of course you had the main event with Sugar Sean O'Malley and Cheeto Vera. And I mean, there's really not much to talk about with that fight. O'Malley just destroyed him. I think he hit him with everything he could find: knees, elbows, fists, right hand, left hand. I mean, he hit Cheeto with everything, but Cheeto is so tough, just would not go down. With everything that Cheeto got hit with, he didn't even get dropped. You know, wouldn't consider that a drop. No, but he didn't even get dropped. But it was pretty much one sided. So all in all, great event. Wish I could have been there for it. No, my family happened to be there at that time in Miami. So it would have worked out well. But no, unfortunately, we weren't able to get there. So maybe sometime down the road we can get one of those UFC fights. So we had that fight this weekend. Was very enjoyable. I'm looking forward to see what's on the horizon for the UFC. You have UFC 300 coming up. That's going to be in Vegas. No, I'm not going to be able to go to that fight. But we will be looking and see if there's any updates or anything changes. No, and what kind of fight announcements come from everything that happened over the past weekend. So we had that. Of course, NFL free agency to open up as well. Bunch of different moves. Not going to talk about all the different moves that's happened because I don't really know if they're good moves or not. We won't know that until they start playing football. Honestly, it's March. Football season starts in August. No, regular season starts in September. So we have to see how all of these moves kind of play. But you did have some big signings. You had Derrick Henry go to Baltimore, and I think that's a big move. Russell Wilson is in Pittsburgh now. Kirk Cousins is in Atlanta now. So you had some big things going on. No big trades when it comes to draft picks or anything like that. You see third, fourth round picks, going here, going there. You had Kristen Wilkins leave Miami. That kind of hurt me, and he's going over to Raiders, to Vegas, to be a Raider. Now, so I hate to see those guys leave. Miami, being a Miami fan, but I appreciate everything Kristen Wilkins did while he was here. So couple of things going on when it comes to the NFL. Saquon went to Philly. No, that was interesting because Tiki Barber, kind of made some comments and Saquon responded. No, then Ryan Clark got involved and Tiki respond. I mean, just no, it surprises me. No, the drama that happens when it comes to sports and these type things. So no, but hey, we gotta have something to talk about through in the off season. So why not just talk about things like that? What else? I'm trying to think of some of the things off the top of my head that were big signings. Patrick Queen, somebody who I would have loved, no, to see come to Miami. He ended up going to Pittsburgh and making that defense a lot better. Pittsburgh's gonna be a little scary on defense. No, with Patrick Queen, T.J. Watt, no Highsmith, jeez, Minka Fitzpatrick. Defense gonna be scary. I had him in my fantasy football league this past year, and they weren't that great, but I may think about drafting it again because you adding Patrick Queen to that defense. That's going to be risky. Now on the offensive side, they actually ended up trading Deontay Johnson to the Panthers, I think. Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown goes over to Kansas City. To give Patrick Mahomes a more speed threat, more deep threat. So, like I said, couple of moves going on. We won't know, like I say, how important, how big they are until we start to see them on the field. Will Kirk Cousins be good in Atlanta? A lot of talent there. We'll see. We don't know. I don't know if I would put my trust in Kirk Cousins, 36, 37-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury, who I think has won maybe one or two playoff games. I don't know, but hey, who knows? The latter part of his career may be the part that puts him in the Hall of Fame. So we don't know. Can Russell Wilson revitalize his career? We don't know. We'll see. That's what's going on with the NFL right now. Of course, there were teams like the Cowboys that didn't make big moves that people are always talking about. Tennessee kind of made a lot of moves. They got Calvin Ridley, and they did a bunch of different things, but you still want to know who's going to be quarterback. Are they going to stick with no? You know what? They drafted Malik Willis, and it's kind of interesting to see what they're going to do with that. Then they got the kid from Kentucky last year, so it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be that quarterback for them. But you see them trying to do talent. No, Chicago. I have no idea what Chicago is doing because they're are bringing in talent. No, they're bringing in the receivers, but they still have Justin Fields. They haven't traded him. I don't know if it's a value thing. I would love to hear what people are saying about that. I know, in my opinion, I think what you're seeing with Justin Fields and why he's still in Chicago is since Chicago has not traded that first round pick, they still have it. And I'm thinking they still have it because they've let individuals know they're not trading it. So individuals or owners know or teams know, okay, they're not going to trade that number one pick, which means they're probably going to draft a quarterback, whether that be Derek May, whether that be no, your kid from Caleb Williams from USC. Therefore, they cannot keep Justin Fields. They can't. So if they can't keep him and they have to get rid of him, they have to trade him, then we don't have to offer much value. They got to take what we're offering them. And I think that's what you're seeing there because I've never heard anybody say anything derogatory or bad about Justin Fields. It's just interesting that he's not. It's almost if he's not been no. It's almost as if he has no value, and I'm thinking he has no value because they know they have to get rid of him. So we'll see what happens with 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 Justin Fields and where he goes from there. Um, Aaron Jones, he leaves or he gets cut by Green Bay. He goes to Minnesota. Of course, Green Bay picks up Josh Jacobs. Just no big things. T. Higgins asked for a trade, so a lot of things going on. We'll see how it works, and we'll see what happens as the season gets ready to start after the draft, and people start to round their team out. So we have that. Of course, on the NBA side, they're finishing up the regular season, so things are still the same. No, you have on the west side, you have OKC, you have Minnesota, you have Denver. They're all vying for that number one slot. And I think any of those teams, if they are the one slot, can win the championship. I know we normally don't look at young teams and we normally don't think that they can win a championship. But when I look at a team like OKC, who is very young, they don't play young. I was listening to Stan Van Gundy talk on the Levitar show a little while ago. He was talking about how everything about that team speaks experience except their birth certificates. They play defense. They are efficient, in closing time. They're efficient with their shooting. When you look at how OKC plays, they play like a veteran team. So it's going to be interesting to see how it matches up, in the playoffs because, of course, we know the game slows down. No, coaches have the ability to really game plan for you, and it's going to see if they can keep that going. Now, Minnesota's a little bit different. A lot of those guys, they've been to the playoffs, whether that be with Minnesota or on other teams. So, yes, they're young together because they haven't been playing together well, but they have some experience. So, we'll see how that works out as well. And of course, we know Denver, they won the championship last year. If I had to put money on it, I would say that Denver will be representing the West, and no, in the NBA Finals again. But you still got the Clippers, no, lurking around. Dallas is still lurking around. New Orleans, the Pelicans, well, the Hornets, no, no, I'm sorry, the Pelicans, they're still lurking around, no, as well. So it'll be interesting to see what that team does in the playoff as well. So, we got some things going on the West Side, but like I said, pretty much looks the way you think it, like it always looks. Now on the East, kind of the same thing. There's really no one scary in the East except for Boston. Boston looks like the best team in the league. The only thing that I'm going to be interested when it comes to Boston is their bench, because we understand that when it comes to the playoffs, and of course they know this, and I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, okay, Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jalen Brown, Jason Tatum, Porzingis, we know them. And I was like, what do they have coming off the bench? Al Horford, and I had to stop. And I was like, Al Horford, Al Horford, and then I had to actually watch a game, and then I see Hauser's coming off the bench, Peyton Pritchard's coming off the bench, and they're playing well. I'm like, oh, we're gonna have to see what's gonna happen with this in the playoffs, you know, because of course we know what Drew Holiday can do. We've seen him. He's a championship winner, of course, over Milwaukee. We know what Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, we've seen them. I was going to be interested to see what Porzingis does in the playoffs. We know what Derek White can do in the playoffs. No, but we also understand how important the bench is. You have to have players come off the bench. You look at, some of the guys that helped Denver win that championship last year off the bench. Your Bruce Browns, guys like that. You have to have those. So it's going to be interesting to see how Boston navigates that in the playoffs, because I think that's going to be important. Um, no, you have Milwaukee, of course. They're up and down. They're up and down. They're good sometimes. They're bad sometimes. Good sometimes. Bad sometimes. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Milwaukee. Chris Middleton should be back soon. Dame is still looking like he's trying to fill things out. Of course, we know Giannis is Giannis. But we'll see what's going on with Milwaukee. Of course, Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell, Mobley, Jared Allen. No, of course, Darius Garland. We'll see what's happening with that team. You have the Knicks. You have the Magic, who's in there. You have Indiana, and then you have Miami, who everyone feels like is probably the biggest threat to Boston, simply because of the fact that they play playoff basketball throughout the year. A lot of times, or a lot of individuals feel like you're not going to see who Miami really is as a team until the playoffs start. The only thing is they got to get in the playoffs, because I think they're sitting like the 7th or 8th seed now. No, that's the only thing. They got to get in the playoffs, and then they say, okay, now you'll really see who they are for real. We know Jimmy Butler turned into a bigger animal. We see Bam has made a step. Can he take that step into the playoffs? Tyler Hero, it's going to be interesting to see, can they keep him healthy for a playoff run. Duncan Robinson, of course, is taking a step. So it's going to be interesting to see Terry Rozier, how he fits in. I think he's still trying to find his way in. What's interesting about the Terry Rozier move is they don't seem to win those tough games when he's in the lineup, but they win them when he's not. When he was hurt, they were able to win a lot of those games. So it's going to be interesting to see, how that works in regards to Terry Rozier and everything like that. So you know that's what's going on in the NBA. Looking forward to the playoffs. We'll have more to talk about then about it then, and we'll go from there. So that's what we got going on in the sports world. No, of course you got hockey going on. Baseball is getting ready to start. I'll try to dabble in that a little bit as time goes on. So let's go ahead and let's try to flip this into something that's a little bit more heavy, a little bit more interesting, in my opinion. I was having a conversation with my mom and my younger brother, earlier this week, and we were talking about politics. Now, I'm not one that will ever get on here and make it seem as if I am politically savvy, when it comes to talking about all the different things. I know that when you talk politics, you have to be very careful, because you don't want to offend anyone, and you never know where where people's head are, where their thoughts are. But what we were talking about, if the state of the world, and now I'm just gonna get my opinion on here. What I was explaining to him, that for me, I feel like we're in such a bad place, when it comes to this country. And part of the reason that I feel that way is when you look at things, when you look at the way the world is going right now, and I understand the Bible aspect of it. Those of us that believe in the Bible, understand that it says that these things will start to show themselves and this world will become corrupt, and all of that. I get that. But what I'm saying is that when I look at where we are when it comes to the political stance, I don't see improvement, no, in much of anything. We still have gun issues. We still have a market that's kind of up and down. No, and another thing Stan Van Gundy said, no, when it comes to this country, is you still have two sides that can't agree on anything. And to me, until that changes, nothing in this world is going to change. And it was interesting because one of the things that he said, and I've always said this as well, is there was a point in time where we disagreed on policy. You had a Republican side, you had a Democratic side, and of course, or a Democrat side, I'm sorry. And of course, you had all of these policies, and we can agree that these were situations, these were things that were going on in the world, but one side wanted to handle it this way, another side wanted to handle it this way. We can both say, okay, there's a problem here, but we want to handle it this way, we want to handle it this way. And that used to be the source of our disagreements, policies. Okay. But now we can't even agree on facts. All right. Some say there is a pandemic, some say there isn't. Some say there is a gun problem. Some say there isn't. Some say we have freedom of speech. Some say we don't. So we can't even agree on facts. So if we can't even agree on the facts, how are we going to develop policies, and how can the world get any better? And that's how I see it. Now, of course, when it comes to voting, I understand that you have a Democrat side, you have a Republican side. That is the craziest thing to me. I do not understand that, because it seems like they make you choose a side. And even if you don't agree with everything that this side is saying, if you have most of it there, that's who you got to vote for. If you over here and most of your sensibilities line up here, then you got to vote that side. And to me, that's kind of crazy. And I understand that there's a lot of money involved and there's things that's going on, but I'm like, man, right now we're in an election year, and the two individuals that will probably be running for president are 80-year-olds, and you can't tell me that we can't do better than that. One is already in office, and although he is having the toughest time getting policy pushed, he has done some things. COVID, I think he did a great job getting us through that time. No, the war in Afghanistan. No, being a veteran, I appreciate getting a lot of the troops out of there. But we still have a gun issue. No, we still have an economic issue. There's still some things going on that we would like to see fixed. And then on the other side, the Republican candidate that they're probably going to have run for president is someone who has a rap sheet longer than the Bible, and half the country will still vote for this dude. And I'm not saying they're wrong for that, but because he talks about some of the things that you agree with. and he talks about how he's gonna make money and he's gonna do these things, we would go ahead. We say, you know what, rap sheet, done this, broke this rule, broke this law. Whether you believe it or not, that's one thing. No, okay, no, that's another thing. I know, I don't know. Well, I won't get into that. But just the longest rap sheet you will ever find, and half the country would be more than willing to put that individual back in the office. And I look at that and I be like, how can we say this country is getting any better? How? You know, what we have on one side, we can't get anything done because we can't work together. And on the other side, we have this individual who, when he was in office, man, it was rough for a lot of us. I know a lot of people made money. I'm sure, but whoo, when you look at some of the things that were going on in the world, it was like people got a chance to show their true colors, and it was not pretty. So why would we want to go back to that? No, and that's what we were discussing, and that's what we were talking about. And honestly speaking, if someone were to ask me what the fix was, I would not have an answer for you. I prayer. What can we do? Pray. I don't know. No, because it does not look or seem like it's going to get any better. You know, you I mean, it's almost as if we forget that at the end of the the voting process last year, that when it was all said and done, there was an insurrection at the White House where people were trying to take over and pretty much kill the vice president for wanting to give the presidency to the next candidate that won. And everything is cool. It's just like water under the bridge, doesn't matter, everything's good. That is the country we're living in, you know. And it's scary. I have kids. One of the things that I've always tried to do when it comes to politics is explain to my kids who are of the age of voting now how important it is to know what's going on. I've always tried to do that. It's important to know what's going on. But when I'm having a conversation with them about it, there's never anything good to say. There's never anything good to say. And I know that they're going to have to grow up and they're going to have to make their own decisions. What I've always told them is, hey, you listen to the candidate that you listen to all the candidates, and the candidate that leans more to your sensibilities, to the type of world that you want, to the type of life that you want. A lot of times, that is the individual that you want to vote for, the one that cares about people. You want to look at him as a human and say, does this individual care about people? That's what I've always said. Does this individual care about people, and do their sensibilities line up with the things that I believe in? No, and I'm not saying that has to be 100%, not saying that at all, because everyone has different opinions, and we live in a world where you have to understand diversity and equity and inclusion and things like that. I get that. I understand, that there are some things that we don't agree with, but at the same time, we can't be discriminatory about it. I get all of that. But what I'm saying is that when you're listening to these individuals talk, who lines up with what you believe in, and who lines up with the direction that you will want to see this world go into? And that's where you should place your vote. And I've always tried to teach them that. I've always tried to stay away from the different sides. And I understand that Democrats, Republicans, they believe different things. And yes, I traditionally vote one side, but I still try to listen. I still try to listen and see what everyone is talking about and make my decision based on that. So, um, no, that's my political spin on it. I don't know what the fix is. I don't know what we can do to make things better. But man, to me, we're in a sad place when the two candidates that we have are 80-year-olds, and no, that's the best we can do when it comes to running this country. So, yeah. Yeah. No, that's a scary sight. No, for me. So that's my political take. Like I said, I hope I did not make myself look too silly talking about that because, like I said, I know try to be careful with what I say, things like that, and would love your opinions on it. This is where you can add comments. If you get an opportunity to listen to that, because I think I would very much love to hear different perspectives and how you all see it. How you all see it, and what's your thoughts on where we are as a country and how we do things. So you had that. Going to keep talking about not something as heavy, but of course, I've stated that I have college kids. Well, I will have college kids here pretty soon. I have the twins. One is going to go to Troy, the other one's going to go to Murray State. Of course, my daughter's in Auburn. Um, but the one that is going to Murray State to play football, of course, we have to make sure that we're paying attention and we're listening to the things that are going on with the state of college football, with NCAA, things of that nature. And of course, Nick Saban, newly retired college football coach, was at Congress and he was having a conversation about part of the reason that he retired was because of the money, the NIL, the things that are going on within college football right now. Once again, conversation I had with my family about it. It was my father this time that we were having this conversation about, and my younger brother. And of course, we know Nick Saban to be probably the best coach to coach in college football. No, we cannot take that away from him. He is without a shadow without a legend, Hall of Famer on every aspect, and deserves everything that he got from the sports arena. I mean, because we know in sports, huge contracts, and you get those contracts based on your accomplishments, and no one has accomplished more than he has. So when you look at Nick Saban, when you look at the things that he's received because of his level of success, when it comes to the contracts, when it comes to the private planes, the homes, the vehicles, you look at all of this stuff. It's a lot. No, it's a lot, and I don't have accurate numbers, so I'm not gonna throw any of them out there. But it's a lot. No, he's made a lot of money. He's done very well for himself, deservingly. No, he's done very well for himself. Um, but he goes into Congress and he talks about the kids, and he is essentially saying that, hey, there's kind of too much money flowing around when it comes to these kids. And it was kind of interesting hearing it come from him because when you look at endorsements, all of the money he's made a lot of money. And now these kids, they have an opportunity to make money. And it's like, whoa, 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 wait. No, we don't want to give them all this money. The money got to come to us, the adults. And one of the things that I've always said about college football, especially when it comes to just college sports in general, is it seems like everyone gets paid, and it seems like everyone can go where they want, when they want, how they want. And the people that they don't want to get paid and they want to be most loyal are the kids. And that is something that I've always disagreed with. And I'll try to explain that a little bit more. Coach comes in, he signs a contract, he's coaching at this school, and another bigger, better school offers him a better contract. He can leave that school and he can go right over there, and nobody says anything. Great hire. Hey, he's done this job. He's great. You know. And kid comes in. He only has 4 years to show what he's capable of. But if the thought of him transform to another school, no, he doesn't want to compete. And I know that there's different scenarios in that, and I know that sometimes it can be a lack of competitiveness, and I'm just talking just generally right now. So I'm not, no, please believe I'm not talking that that's the case for everyone, but I think that there are cases where it's okay for a kid to transfer simply because of the fact that he only has a set amount of time to do these things. So I get that, you know. But what I'm trying to explain, or what I was trying to explain to my father, my younger brother at this time, is Now that you have this NIL money, now that you have it there, and the kids are able to make this money, you know, why is it a problem when the coaches were able to make this money all along? They're able to make it, and they're making it off the kids, off the back of these kids. That's what they're making their money off of. These kids are going out, they're doing all of the hard work. Not saying that coaching is not hard. We know how tough coaching is. We know it's a lot of time, things like that. But these kids are going out there and they're giving it everything that they have. Yet they're the ones that they say, okay, we'll pay you in scholarship. Everybody else gets paid. You get money, you get a couple of million, you get a couple of million, you get a couple of million. But kid, you get a scholarship. Even though that kid may not even want to go to school, the only reason they are there is you tell them that the only way they can get to the NFL, which is their dream, is you got to go to college. So, no, what's going on there? How does that work? And that part there is interesting. Like I said, when I was having this conversation with them, no, and I was saying, hey, if a kid wants to play in the NFL, if that is his dream, I want to play in the NFL. What is his road to get there? How can he get there? What does he have to do? He plays high school football, he becomes a 5-star, and then what? And I wanted them to answer that for me. They're like, well, he got to go to college. Okay. Even though he does not want to be a college student, he has to go to college to get to this next level. Why is that? Now, because no other sport is like that. In basketball, if you don't want to go play for Duke, you can go play for someone overseas or whatever the case may be. No, you can go play here, you can go play there, and then you can still get drafted. I would love for someone to tell me how many players have been drafted to the NFL that did not play in college. I would probably be willing to bet that that number is zero. 0% of the players that have been drafted. No, no, unless you go back to your USFL days. I think they would draft from there. I think 0% of those players that get drafted, no, never played in college. They had to play in college if they want to be drafted. So you're telling them that they have to go to college if they want to get into the NFL, but at the same time, then you tell them, but you got to be a student. No, and I just don't agree with that. No, I'm not agree. I'm not in agreement with that. I think, or I feel that since, and this was another point of contention between us, since the NFL uses, I have to say it that way because I said that the NFL, I said NCAA or college football was the NFL's minor league, but they say it's not. They just use it that way. But since the NFL uses the NCAA as its minor league, does that not make it somewhat of a professional sport? Because if it does, then those kids should get paid. And not by NFL and NIL, they should get paid by the NCAA in my opinion. And I felt like when the Supreme Court, and I heard Dominique and Bomani were talking about this, when the Supreme Court came down and said, "Yep, these students they do look like employees, and they should have the right to make money." I thought the NCAA, and this was Dominique's, this was his the idea. They should have made it where, okay, now let's just do contracts and let's just pay these kids because now it's out of whack. Good luck trying to try to reel it in now because money is going around like crazy. Now I'm hearing about kids that don't even step on the field that's making $200,000-300,000 just for being on the team. So I don't know how you reel it in now. No, but no, that's the state of college football. That's where we are. No, and that's going to be very interesting. And as no, my kids, as they start to transition into college and these conversations start to come about, it's going to be interesting how it works. I don't know. So I'm going to have to get up to speed, and learn more about NIL because honestly, I don't know a lot about it. I really don't. I don't know a lot about it. So I'm going to have to learn it because I'm going to have a son that's going to be dealing with this as well. So, no, that's where we sit though with college football. I think that Nick Saban interview really opened up some eyes. And no, once again, please comment. No, put comments in there. Tell me what your thoughts are on the state of college football. No, and how no we can make this work. No, what are some of the things that we can do to fix it? No, would love to hear your thoughts and your perspective. All right. So that's what we got in regards to the college side. I'm going to get ready to sign off here in just a second, but I want to talk about the transition that's getting ready to happen. No, with the kids. No, as they get ready to go to college. This is going to be a very interesting next couple of months for me. My wife had to deal with this last year with no with daughter going to college. And of course, when you've based your life, and every decision that you've made has been predicated around someone, and now they get ready to go on their own, and things are getting ready to change, that can be quite an adjustment. And I've been trying to watch her, as she goes through that adjustment, to see, okay, what are some of the things that I need to do because I'm going to have to deal with this here um, pretty soon. No, and I feel it. I feel it. No, as it's getting ready to come up, we're in March. They graduated in May. And because one is playing football, he's probably going to have to report early. And of course, the other one, he's going to have to go, of course, when the semester starts. So I do feel it. I feel, okay, this is going to be something. So, and I also know looking at it, be like, oh, this is gonna be a lot of work because it's 3 kids now. Because the one from Auburn, she's gonna come home, so we're gonna have to take one in Auburn. We're gonna have to take one to Troy. We're gonna have to take one to Kentucky, and shoot, though it's going to be a busy, busy, busy June, July, August. No, once we get dates and we figure out um exactly what we're going to do and where everyone need to be and when. But I was having this conversation with the boys this morning. We were going to a prayer breakfast and I was talking to them, and we were just talking about the transition of being in home and then getting out of home and being on your own. And I was explaining to them that it's time. Now they're 19 now, and I would say it's time. It's time for you all to make that transition. No, and I asked them did they think they were ready, and no, both of their answers were yes and no. Yes, we're ready to experience it, but no, because we don't really know exactly what it's going to be, this, that, whatever, which is your typical answer, I guess, for an 18, 19-year-old kid. But one of the things that I was trying to explain to them is that it's all about priorities. You have to be able to set your priorities because mom and dad is not going to be there for you to tell you, okay, to take care of this, take care of that, take care of this, take care of that. You're going to have to do that part on your own. You're going to have to get up. You're going to have to go to school. You're going to have to be at the things that you need to be at. You're going to have to make your own appointments. You're going to have to be at your own, you're going to have to, be at those appointments, be on time, and, you know, a lot of times that's not easy to do. And that can be a difficult adjustment, especially if you've been so dependent on your parents doing that all your life, which those of us that have had kids have probably been that for them and they have to make that adjustment. But I was also saying that it was time for them to go because of course those of us that have had kids understand that there comes a time where you've said all you can say. You've said all you can say. You bang your head up against the wall as many times as you can, and they've just reached their peak of things that they're going to take. Everything else just bounce right off their forehead or goes in one ear and out the other one. And it's like, okay, for them to learn, they're gonna have to get on their own, and then they're gonna have to apply a lot of these things because then they'd be like, oh, this is why mom said this. This is why. dad says this. No. So I feel like for me, I've reached that level where nothing I say really reaches them anymore. They hear it, but it's kind of like, yeah, we've heard that a million times. We've heard it, we've heard it, we've heard it. But it's like we're not taking that in anymore. So I think it's in them. I do feel like it's in them, but I think they will not get the full gist of it until they get out of the house and they start to experience life. And I think, especially for young men, it's important for them to get out and experience life because that helps with that maturation of becoming a man. So it's scary for me, as a father. It's nerve wracking, and like I say, I feel it right now. Even as I look at them, and I still look at some of the decisions they make, and I'm like, man, I hope they change that by the time they leave here, and they don't have a lot of time. I look at how they spend money, and I'm like, they gotta change that because that's not going to work when they get out there, in the real world. But even though it is kind of nerve wracking, there is a bit of excitement seeing them go from boys to young men. I'm not gonna call them grown yet because we still gonna be paying for a lot of stuff. So I'm not gonna say they grown, but going from boys to young men, I'm very excited to see how that looks and what happens there. So proud of those guys. Daughter's doing great. In Auburn, she was home for spring break. So we got a chance to spend some time with her on last week. Was sad to see her go, but she's doing awesome as well. So it's gonna be interesting what the wife and I become. Once we have all of the kids out of the house, no, she may want me to leave too, but no, we'll see. Hopefully not. So that's what we got for this week. I know it was a little bit different from what we normally talk about, but I do want to end on this note. I just want to end with something a little bit fun because I know that we had some heavy stuff talking politics, things like that. But we like movies in my family. We like movies in my family. I'm going to ask you all to put this in the chat because no, we like to have these movie type conversations. So, first question. What is the best song in the Five Heartbeats movie? I would love to know what you all comments on that is because I have a song in that movie that I feel like just blows every other song in that movie away. Of course, my brothers disagreed, so I'm going to ask you all to put in the chat what is the best song on the Five Heartbeats movie, and maybe we can talk about that. No, in one of the next couple of shows. And another question that I want to ask, and maybe I should save it for another time, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw it out there now. Is if you wanted to hire a crew to do a heist. Now I know none of us on here still. I get it. But just hypothetically speaking, if you wanted to hire a crew to do a heist, who would you hire? The Ocean's 11 crew or the Italian Job crew? All right. So if you've ever seen Ocean's 11, that is with George Clooney, Brad Pitt, where they robbed the casino. So you have that crew, or are we going with the Italian Job crew, which was Mark Wahlberg and Most Def and Jason Statham? So throw those answers in the chat. We'd love to hear what you all say about that. And maybe we can have a little bit of fun. So that is all that I have for you all this week. Please, like I said, subscribe. If you haven't done it yet, throw some stuff in the chat. If you have things that you want to talk about, throw that in there as well. Would love to tackle some of those things. So signing off. No, peace, love you guys. I'm going to continue to do this. I will continue to get better at it. I promise. But I will talk to you all here in the next couple of days. Later.